Good evening. How's everybody tonight? Awesome. Well, I want to welcome you here, and I want to thank Bruce and Northern Illinois RIF for having me back again. And I've been working on a rehab project in Barrington all day, so you know when you work 8-9 hours with the tool belt on, and you come home, you kind of want to go to sleep. So I'm back there going, all right, I'm going to do this. I am a real estate investor. For 20 years of my life, I was not a real estate investor. I was a remodeling contractor that wished and hoped and prayed that someday I might be able to become one. And I didn't think I could be a remodel or a real estate investor because I had bad credit and no money. All right, and my credit was bad. I rarely meet anybody ever in my life that has worse credit than I did. And as Eric says, you got to work really hard to get your credit bad. My credit score at the lowest I'd ever seen it. I don't know if it was Vantage or FICO or ABC Soup or whatever. 420. All right, so if you're in this room and you're not at a 700 credit or whatever, and maybe it's this. Hello? Oh. He's arrived. Okay. Hang from my ear. All right, am I okay now? Great. You guys can hear me? Okay. So, I was talking about having bad credit. And the thing about having bad credit that I want to share with you is it was depressing. You know, I had this little voice in the back of my head that said, I'm not worthy, or like I've done something wrong, like I've screwed up my life and I don't know what to do to fix it. I did not know that you could get your credit repaired. And 8 years ago, I was invited to a real estate investment seminar, and I was inspired to join the program. And the program, the beginning course was $3,500, and I didn't have that much money. And I was really inspired to want to do it. You know, how many of us have been inspired to want to take a class that we've seen, but we couldn't afford it? And then we didn't have enough credit, we couldn't even charge it. So I remember the experience of going home, you know, wishing that I could change my life, but not figuring out how I was going to do that. And I remember going home from the seminar, and I called my sister up in this weak little voice going, you know, Barb, I'd really like your help. Would you be willing to help me, you know, with this course? And my sister said, no. Why did she say no? Because she's known me my whole life. That was another sobering experience for me. And there came a point in my life where I decided that I wasn't going to be a victim of my circumstances, and I wasn't going to be a victim of my past, and I was going to start becoming opening to educating myself about how I was going to get through this, all right? And I started looking online. I started looking for credit repair and credit programs and services and all this stuff, and I ended up finding a company called Lexington Law. And I hired them. It was like $500 to join the program, and then $89 a month to get my credit repaired. The gimmick of Lexington was that they charge you a monthly fee. So the monthly fee was $89.95 a month. But they'd only work on 5 things at once. I had a lot more than 5. So I was, and I hate to use this term, but I felt like I was milked for 3 years of my life, paying month after month after month after month. Now the key is that it worked. I did get my credit from the 400s up to the 500s and 600s, and you know, today I'm very grateful. My credit is somewhere between 780 and 800, depending on when you look at it. But if I would have met Eric, and if I would have known about people that have integrity around taking care of people, Eric only charges if he's successful in getting something off the report. I like that. And that's why I'm partnering with Eric. That's why Eric is here. That's why he's a part of our program. Now, I joined that real estate investment training program back in 2006. And I was so inspired by the real estate training program that I joined, because my very first real estate deal in my life was in 2006. I partnered with somebody I'd met in a room just like this. All right, so I want to give you guys some advice about being a part of a community of investors. Get to know each other, right? Like the fact that Bruce and Brandon and Terry put this together, the value that is here is more valuable than you will ever know. My real estate deals, my money, every single resource I have comes from being a part of a real estate investor community, right? I met my partners, Scott and Nancy. We own an office now in Downers Grove. Some of you have been to our office. That community has grown. We have over 100 people that come every Thursday night to do real estate investment study groups and trainings, right? That evolved out of, right, a guy that was struggling for 20 years, living check to check, that really wanted to be a real estate investor. All right, so the value you have together of getting to know each other and learning from each other is so much more than you realize. Now, when I entered into credit repair, I still didn't have any money, and my credit was still bad, because credit repair takes what? It takes time, right? So what I did was I found a coach online that teaches business credit, and I hired this coach. It was $6,000 for the program, all right? So what I invested $6,000 into, I'm going to share with you tonight. Is that fair? Okay? And the reason I'm going to share it with you is because learning how to build corporate credit is what gave me the resources to be able to do my first real estate deals after I learned how to do them. Right, so real estate, and thank you. Real estate investment education and training will teach you how to find properties, right? How to negotiate short sales, how to find properties that are under stress. It'll teach you how to do that kind of stuff, right? And then you'll take a course called Private and Hard Money. That's one of the courses that are offered in our program. How much do hard money lenders charge? A lot of money. I've heard hard money lenders out there charging 5 points and 18%. One of them I know charges 3 points or 3% per month. That's 36% a year. Who'd like to be the hard money lender getting 36% a year? That's the holy grail, by the way, of being a real estate investor, is being the lender. Okay? Business credit is tremendously less expensive money if you build it properly. All right? So what is the difference between personal credit and business credit? Well, business credit is based on your corporation, not your FICO score, not your personal credit. Right? A corporation, when you start a corporation, how long does it take to start a corporation in the state of Illinois? What's that? About 15 minutes, right? You can log in, you can fill out the documents, you can fax them in, and you can get an EIN number. When you get an EIN number of a new corp, we also have an amazing attorney in the room that can get corporations set up with our friend here in the room. But you can get this done quickly. When you have an EIN number, now you've given birth, right, to a new entity. It's kind of like giving birth to a new baby. Right? How many corporations can you start? As many as you want. There's no limit. So when I give birth to a new corporation, right, this new corporation has no past. Right? It has no history. And so I can take a new corporation and I can build a corporate reputation of that corporation. Business credit is reported from different companies than personal credit. Now, some of the personal credit reporting agencies do also manage people's business credit, but one of them that I want to share with you is Dun & Bradstreet. Right, so Dun & Bradstreet is a company that manages business credit. In fact, they manage business credit on over 100 million companies in the United States of America, okay? Dun & Bradstreet has a number that they give you as a corporation. It's called your DUNS number, D-U-N-S. Right, as a corporation, when I go to apply for business credit, right, many times on the application, they will ask you for your EIN number and they will ask you for your Dun & Bradstreet number. Now I'll tell you a couple things about Dun & Bradstreet. Dun & Bradstreet is a for-profit company. There's actually two companies. There's Dun & Bradstreet and there's Dun & Bradstreet Credibility Corp. They are not the same company. So when you call Dun & Bradstreet, or you think you're calling Dun & Bradstreet, right, in many cases you're calling Dun & Bradstreet Credibility Corp. They will try to sell you a business credit building package or program, right? A lot of the people on the phone are very highly trained telephone sales professionals who are trained in the art of getting you to pull out your wallet and give them your credit card number. All right, here's the truth about Dun & Bradstreet. You do not need to pay Dun & Bradstreet for a Dun & Bradstreet number. Dun & Bradstreet is a credit reporting bureau, just like TransUnion and Equifax and Experian, okay? In fact, if you start a corporation and you go engage in business with other companies, many times you will be issued a Dun & Bradstreet number and you didn't even know you had one. All right, so I would recommend that you go to Dun & Bradstreet, and if you own a corporation, and check to see if you are listed yet. Dun & Bradstreet tracks your credit experiences with other companies in the world, okay? So if you want to get access to money or access to credit inside of a corporation, right, building credit history with other companies is the way that you would go about doing that, okay? So a credit experience between two corporations is called a trade line, all right, a trade line. Dun & Bradstreet has a way that it analyzes your credit, and the scoring model that they use is called Paydex. All right, so many people have never heard of what Paydex is. Paydex is a score based on 0 to 100. Paydex is a score that lets the creditor know how far before or after the due date of a bill you pay your bills. Now, is it common for a business to pay its bills late? It is common to do that, right? Sometimes it's not because the business is late on paying its bills or it's not being responsible. Sometimes it's because of their business model. Right, let's just take an example of a business model so you can get what I'm talking about. Let's take a home builder. A home builder buys a plot of land, right? They hire contractors, they buy a bunch of materials, they dig the hole, they fill it, they build the foundation, they build the house, right? The process of building that house can take, what, 3 months? Then the property's put on the market and then sold. So the time between they buy the materials and the time between they actually get paid on the house can be 4 months or 5 months or 6 months. Is that reasonable? How about a fix and flipper? Would that kind of be the same business model? So would it be common for a business that has a long sales cycle to not pay their bills exactly on the due date? All right, has anybody ever worked in purchasing, right, and had experiences where the bills have been paid on a different schedule? Paydex manages or measures this particular phenomenon or this process. The difference between your Paydex score and your corporation and your FICO score is this. A FICO score, in order to be considered late, you have to be how many days late on your bill before you get a ding? 30 days late, right? So once I'm 30 days late, then I have a negative 30-day late on my credit score. Paydex is different, right? Paydex measures if you are 1 day late. Right, so an 80 Paydex means that you pay your bills on time. Remember, it's on a scale from 1 to 100. 80 means it's perfect, it's on time. If I anticipate the bills being paid, or if I pay 10 days or 20 days in advance of the due date, then I can raise my Paydex score up over 80, 85 or 90. Right, 100 means that you actually pay your bills before the invoice is printed. Right, so that's even anticipating the invoice being printed. Right, once you get to 80 Paydex, and you go down from there, if you are, and it isn't exact 1 for 1, but 1 or 2 days late would be 79, maybe 3 or 4 days late would be 78, and you get down to a 50, you're about 30 days behind, and then beyond that, all right? So when I'm teaching our students about corporate credit, right, or mentoring people in the world of corporate credit, when you start to build your corporation's credit, you want to be very intentional about making sure that you pay your bills early. okay? When you start a corporation and you want to get access to credit lines, all right? And there's many different types of credit lines in corporations. The first types of credit lines that you will think about and that you'll get access to are called net 30 accounts. Right? What is a net 30 account? A net 30 account means that you are going to a company and you are asking them to send you some products and services or products, right? And they're going to send you a bill. Right, and you pay that bill and they give you net 30. That means they give you 30 days in order to pay that bill on time. Right, you have 30 days to pay. Okay? So to get a Paydex score issued to you, the Bureau, Dun & Bradstreet, has to have some trade lines experiences in order for them to even issue you a Paydex. When you start a brand new corporation and you check your Dun & Bradstreet record, you have no Paydex score. Why? Because they don't have any information about your corporation yet in order to issue one. The key to getting access to big lines of credit is getting this process started. All right, so what we recommend that you do is get 7 to 10 trade lines that are reporting to your Dun & Bradstreet Bureau in order to then be issued a Paydex of 80. Okay? How long does this take? It takes about 4 months. About 4 months. Do a little quicker if you're really diligent. You can do a little quicker than that. I've seen people get issued Paydexes within 3 months. Right? Most people take a little bit longer to do this. Right? So how do I get a trade line established? Well, there's many corporations out there in the world that want your business. Would you agree? All right. And so as you're a business owner and you've got another company that wants your business, you can go to this company and say, listen, I'd like to buy some products and services from you. Would you be willing to send me a bill? And they'll send you the products, they'll send you a bill, and you pay the bill back on time. All right. As a real estate investor, do we have companies out there that we do business with? All right. Of course, we know them big ones: Home Depot, right? Lowe's, Menards, where we get our materials. Okay. So here's a couple of recommendations, and some of you are real estate investors already. Some of you want to become one, right? But I want you to start thinking differently about how you buy things. All right. So instead of going to Home Depot and getting all the materials and all the paint and all the siding and everything you need for your project, right? Instead, look for 6 or 7 different companies that you can go and buy those same materials from, right? Many companies out there will give you net 30 accounts or even credit to your corporation. An example would be J.C. Licks, which was bought by Benjamin Moore. They've got net 30 trade lines. Sherwin-Williams, right? So instead of going to Home Depot or Lowe's or Menards to buy my paint, I can go to a paint store and buy the same product, a better product usually, right? And I can now have a trade line that is in my corporation that is now a different company than buying everything at one place. What about drywall? What are some drywall suppliers in the area? Can I go buy drywall and my steel studs or whatever I need for my project from a different company than going to the main ones? All right. What about office supplies? All right. Can I go buy office supplies online with a net 30 trade line rather than going to OfficeMax? All right. Quill.com, Quill.com is one of the companies that we use to buy office supplies that will give you a net 30 trade line. Now, one of the keys about a company reporting to Dun & Bradstreet or not is the order that you place usually needs to be $50 or higher. So when somebody asks me, Bob, how do I build my corporate credit? We're in a coaching program. I say, okay, you're going to need to budget a little money in order to get 7 to 10 trade lines reporting to Dun & Bradstreet for a period of 4 months. Right, so if I'm spending $50 with 7 companies for 4 months, right, do the math, right? And I usually recommend $1,500 to $2,000 is a nice good budget. Right, so one of the things that I did when I started building my corporate credit, and mind you, my personal credit score at the time was about 540. And I had 19 negative things in my credit report, and I was just starting the process of credit repair. So now I say, okay, I'm going to go and start building my corporate credit. Now, if you have great personal credit already, you can usually leverage a personal guarantee from your personal credit to go get a business credit card, right? And a lot of people say, well, I don't want to personally guarantee it. If you're doing real estate deals that you wouldn't personally guarantee, you probably shouldn't be doing those real estate deals. Would you agree with me? Okay, so when you're getting started, it's okay to put up a personal guarantee on a corporate credit card. Why? Because does that corporate credit card report to your FICO score? It doesn't. So you can go and build $100,000, $200,000 in corporate credit, right, that doesn't report to your FICO. Getting your FICO score, personal FICO score up over 760 is kind of the holy grail of personal credit, yes? Right? So even people that say, oh, Bob, I have a 700 credit. If you have a 700 credit score, you're paying more for mortgages, more for cars, more interest on all your credit cards than people that have 780. Okay, so having credit under 780 is expensive. It costs you money, and it's not necessary. If you are a real estate investor and a business owner, you should be building your credit, access to credit lines, and the using your credit inside of a corporation, not using your personal credit. Right, so as a real estate investor, right, using your personal credit, first of all, is detrimental to your credit utilization ratio. Right, let's say I buy a house, right, and I've got $30,000 in credit inside of my FICO, and now I know you need to go buy materials. Right, so I go spend $20,000. What did that just do to my credit utilization ratio? I took it from 0 to over 66% because I just used 2/3 of my credit. What happens to my FICO score when I do that? Boom. It's like instant. It's like instant losing 60 points in your credit. It's real easy to do that, right? If I build that same $30,000 inside of my corporation and I go and use my corporate credit, and I don't recommend you max your corporate credit cards out. I'd still limit it to 90% of their available balance. But if I use that credit inside of my corporation, does it affect my FICO score? Not at all. The only way my business credit cards will affect my personal credit is if I default. If I am late on my payments and I default on that, then they can come after me personally, especially if I put up a personal guarantee. Does that make sense? Okay? And so this process that I'm outlining for you about building corporate credit, right, to lay it out step by step, is you start your corporation, right? You find companies that you can buy products and services for your business with. Now, if you're not a real estate investor yet, but you're in the process of wanting to become one, what are some of the things that you can do to start to build your corporate credit? Well, if I'm starting a business, can my business buy my office supplies? Right? It can, right? Could it buy furniture for my office? Could it buy a computer? Right? So I could go to Dell.com and buy a computer and have that computer be purchased by my corporation. Dell Financial Services will give your corporation credit to buy a computer from them. That's a trade line inside of your corporation. All right? What about gas? Can my corporation buy my fuel for my vehicle? It can do that, right? So now I can go get a Shell card or a mobile card. That's a trade line inside of my corporation. Could I find some things to purchase that are going to help build my real estate investment business? For me, one of the things I bought, and I love this store, Grainger. Who's been to Grainger? Awesome store, right? They got an awesome catalog. So I decided that because I'm running my real estate investment company from my home, that I need to organize my basement and my garage. Well, Grainger's got rolling carts. They've got wall-mounted bins. They've got like bin drawers for screws and parts. Do we accumulate stuff when we're rehabbing houses, right, or real estate investing? My rehabbers in the back are snickering, like, oh my God, yes. So what I did was I said, okay, I'm going to organize my basement, and so I went to Grainger and I wrote down all the things that I wanted. And they had all these different size and different color-coded tubs. Well, I didn't buy them all at once. I went in and bought the green ones, and a couple weeks later I bought the yellow ones, and a few weeks later I bought the red ones, right? And then I bought the mounting brackets. So I took a $500 basement organization project and I split it over a 4-month period so that I could have bills being sent to me by Grainger every couple weeks that I would pay. What did that do to my Dun & Bradstreet score? Right, it raised my business credit. Did they check my personal credit? Personal credit was never checked. because I didn't ask them to give me a credit card. I didn't ask them to give me $1,000 in credit line. I asked them to give me a net 30 account. And they want my business. They want our business, okay? So that's some of the recommendations. Now, we do have everybody kept asking me, Bob, how did you do this? Because my first real estate deal, after I went through the Renatus training, I partnered with somebody else and we made $22,500 on it. Well, I bought all the materials using credit, even though my personal credit was bad. And it was about $30,000 in materials. So everybody kept asking me, well, how did you get $30,000 to buy materials when you had credit in the 500s? I'm like, that is a really cool question. So I recorded my training course and I put it online. Right, and I have that training course online. I've been selling it for a few years. It's $199. It's available if you guys want it, all right? That course I give away for free to everybody that purchases the Renatus training. Why? Because when you go through your Renatus training and you go through your real estate investment education, you're going to need to learn how to do what I'm talking about. So everybody, for Bruce's group here in this area with the core program, everybody gets it for free. Okay, we just include it. And we talk about it on our study groups. Right, so if you get on the phone and you've got any questions and you're in our group every single week, every single Tuesday night, right, you've got questions about it, I will be happy to answer them. Right, and so the thing I can tell you about corporate credit, this is the deal. I have never seen more money being given to business owners ever in my life than right now. And I had my computer brought it up here. I'm going to show you a couple of things. I applied for a Capital One business card, and they gave me just 2 weeks ago, and they gave me $25,000 at 0% interest for a year. Right? There's a 3% check cashing fee. All right. About a year ago, I applied for 2 corporate credit cards. I got one with a $25,000 limit. They just sent me a letter in the mail saying, "Congratulations, Mr. Tierney. We've raised your credit limit to $35,000." So they just gave me an extra 10, and they included with it a series of checks with 0% interest until October of 2015. I've had this card now for 4 years, and they keep sending me checks that say 0% interest for another 18 months. That's 0% interest for 5 years. Folks, 0% interest money at 3% check cashing fee is the cheapest money that you'll ever find ever in your life. You get that, right? Cheaper than a hard money lender, right? Who's got a self-directed retirement plan that would be willing to lend their money to an investor for 3%? I don't get one taker. Right? My self-directed retirement plan investors, we just bought a house in Barrington for $275. We're going to rehab it for about 60 grand, and it's worth 525 ARV. Actually, Ron's been out there working on the house with us. And Bruce came out and visited the other day. We're going to make about, maybe 60 to 80, maybe 100,000, depending on the deal. And a lot of my self-directed retirement plan investors are getting 12% interest on their money to invest in that house. Right, so I use a lot of the business credit to do our real estate deals, and I also raise capital using self-directed retirement plans. Here's the key if you want to be a successful investor. And you can write this down. You want to dig your well before you're thirsty. Does that make sense? Right, so if you know that you're going to be a real estate investor and a business owner at some point in your life, and you know that that's going to be the thing that you're committed to, then it only takes 4 months to get your paydex to 80, right? To get your corporation started and set up. Now, one of the classes included in the core program is the legal and tax strategies classes. We happen to have the speaker of that class going to be in my office a week from Friday and Saturday, right? Mr. Mark Kohler. Bruce and the team here are live broadcasting that here in the area, so you guys don't have to come to Downers Grove. Okay, so I'd recommend that it's $50, I'd recommend that you come to that. What Mark's going to talk about is how to set up a corporation and the difference between an S-Corp and an LLC. A lot of people mistakenly set up an LLC when they really needed an S-Corp, and set up an S-Corp when they really needed an LLC. And many savvy real estate investors have multiple corporations. Right? Why? Because earned income is taxed differently than passive income. Right? And so earned income is a a fix and flip. Right, a short-term income, a wholesale deal, something that you're going to have for less than a year. Passive income is rental property, maybe a note, something that you have income coming in consistently. You can take salary dividend splits inside of an S-Corp, but you can't do that in an LLC. right? So there's reasons that you want to understand what type of corporation that you should set up. Plus, a LLC is more expensive than an S corp, right? So many times, the instructors that we have will recommend start this first, then do this, and you need to understand that stuff. Once you get your corporation started and set up, getting yourself started in the process of building business credit, get that started right away. Okay, there's a couple of significant dates that creditors look at. One of the dates they're going to ask you on an application is how long ago did you start your business? Right, so they want to see that you've been in business for a while before they're willing to give you real credit. When I say real credit, I mean, getting a $15,000 corporate credit card at Home Depot. Right, would that be valuable as a real estate investor? Commercial line of credit at Home Depot for 15 grand. Another one at Lowe's, another one at Menards. Now you got $45,000 of material money. But to get there, right? If you start a corporation for your real estate investment business, say you start it tomorrow, and you go to Home Depot and you have good personal credit, they're going to check your personal credit and they're going to say, oh, this person has good personal credit. Let's give them a credit card. They're going to give you like $2 grand. $2 grand is cute, but it ain't going to buy a brand new kitchen for one of your fix and flips. Does that make sense? All right. So a lot of people will jump the gun, right? They'll go too fast. They'll say, oh, I got good credit. Let me go leverage that to try to get business credit. You still haven't proven yourself as a business. You haven't proven yourself as a corporation. You don't have a paydex score. And when they go and check to look at your credit, they're going to say, well, this person may have good personal credit, but I'm not ready to give them $1 million line of credit inside their corporation yet. They haven't earned that right yet. Does that make sense? Okay. And so going through this process that I outlined of getting those 7 to 10 trade lines that are reporting to Dun & Bradstreet and getting that paydex score to 80, that is an important step that a lot of people try to skip or try to work around. Okay, so I want to encourage you to do that, and we lay it out step by step in the training program that we give for free. The second thing is once you get a paydex of 80, then you become eligible for store cards. All right, what's a store card? Those are the cards I'm talking about with corporate or the commercial line at Lowe's, the commercial line at Menards, at Home Depot, right? Those are the store cards. Okay, and those store cards become very valuable, and a lot of times they'll start you out with with a modest credit line, maybe $8,000-9,000 at Home Depot. Right now I've got 2 cards at Home Depot. One of them's 20 and the other one's like 18. Right, so as you build your corporate credit and you build your reputation and you build your longevity, the companies that you do business with will extend their offers to you. Okay? Remember that being a real estate investor is a marathon, right? It's not a sprint, right? And you have to think about this business from the long term of it. Right, and that's why the people that we're coaching right now with getting their credit repaired through Eric and getting their business credit, see, we have more money available to us than people that haven't done this. Would you agree? All right, and plus we have cheaper money available. I can make an offer on a property. I can pay a little more than another investor because I'm not going out and getting hard money loans at 18% and 5 points because I don't need to do that because I've dug my well before I'm thirsty. Does that make sense? All right, and so that's why I'm so passionate about this particular topic. And I thank God I had terrible credit when I started my business because it forced me to think about this differently. It forced me to educate myself because it wasn't easy. Right, the people out there that had great credit, that could fog a mirror and sign a mortgage and went out and became a fix and flipper, how many of those people do we know that lost their properties or ended up in bankruptcy because they weren't forced to educate themselves? Right, and anybody that's been out there in this industry a while, right, and it's amazing to me to see the number of people in here that have been in the real estate industry for years and years and years. Guess where they are tonight? Here in this room, learning more about our craft. And so the more I'm in this industry, the more I learn, the more I realize I don't know. Right, the more I'm interested in meeting other people and learning from other people, their expertise, because it makes such a difference in my own life and my own business to be able to glean information from others. And another thing about what I found in this industry is an amazing community of people who are able to help each other without needing something in return. Isn't this the most generous group of people that you've ever met in your life? I am so inspired by the real estate investor group and community, especially that we have here in Chicago. Right, and so, we offer the products and services that have made a difference in our own lives. I wouldn't be standing up here saying, I believe you should be a part of our study group and invest $2,000 in the core program if I didn't believe in my heart it would make a difference in yours. Right, and that's why we support it. And the challenge that a lot of the REIA clubs have is that, month after month, you've got different speakers that come in. And one month it's short sales, and the next month it's foreclosures, and the next month it's, self-directed retirement plans, and it's all these different things. And most people, I remember Bruce said, how many programs did you have on your shelf, Bruce? Right? So that's one of the reasons that we wanted to consolidate it. Another thing is building relationships with people. And having the same people that you can count on are going to be there week after week, and not somebody that flies into town, flies away and is gone. Right, and that's one of the things I want to give Eric accolades. And he lives in Arkansas. I've seen this man, probably 30 times in the past year and a half alone, just because of his commitment to serving our community over the long haul, which is really cool. And you drive. All right. So I would like to, I'd like to, let me tell you about the $1 million line of credit. Would that be cool to get a $1 million line of credit? Now, I don't necessarily like it. Right? But my business credit was built, and I was given, I'm probably, many of the students that we've worked with have gotten over $150,000 at 0% interest, which if you had 150 grand at 0% interest, can you buy and rehab a property and make money in the city? All over the place, okay? Right? So once you get to that level, and you've used the credit responsibly, which is the key to all of this, you got to use it responsibly. Right now, you can go to, with a couple of real estate deals under your belt, a corporation that's been incorporated for a couple years, you've got some cash flow that have come in, you've repaired your personal credit, right? So you've gotten those three bases. Now, the companies out there that have the big financing money, the $1 million line of credit companies, they want your business. They are looking for you to work with them, because you are somebody that now has become someone in the world that can make them money. Does that make sense? So these big companies that go out to get these warehouse lines, right? These $50 million lines at 3% interest or 4% or whatever they charge, and then they turn around and they lend it to people like us. So the company that offered me, first of all, they offered me a line of credit, not a $1 million line of credit. So I said, okay, I'll go through the process, and they required 2 years of tax returns. They required my resume. They wanted them to see the deals. They required some closing documents. They wanted to make sure that I was honest and truthful in the properties that I had closed. They checked my credit. They wanted 2 years of my bank statements. It's like I had to send them the bank statement. So when they're going to offer you a real line of credit, they're going to look at your history, right? Right, so when's the best time to start having the next, so if the last 2 years don't look as good as they need to, then when's the next time to start making sure the next 2 years do? Right now, okay? So that's why I'm here tonight, to encourage you to get started tomorrow, so that in 2 years from now, that when somebody looks back in these last 2 years, they're saying, yes, this is somebody that we'd like to approve this credit for. So when the guy called me up and he says, yeah, we've done all of our research, it took him about 2 months. And I didn't, you ever been really excited about something, but you didn't want to seem really excited? So I'm trying not to call him every day. I thought about it. So I call him up, I'm like, hey, any word yet? And I'm just curious. Plus I had these 2 real estate deals that I know if I get this line of credit, I'm going to be able to do both at once. See, as a real estate investor, we want to be able to make enough money to quit our job. Is it easy to quit our job doing 1 fix and flip a year? Right, how about 2? Maybe 4, if they're good ones, right? But in addition to doing the 4 fix and flip a year, what is something else that's so important to us as investors? What do we have to build? We have to build passive income. So not only do we have to do fix and flips, but we should be acquiring some rental properties, right? And doing those types of things. So you got to have enough resources to be able to do both things at one time in order to get yourself financially free. Do we want to become financially free fast or slow? Right, so having access to the resources that you need to do this is imperative. Right, so I was so excited, and I didn't have any idea. And I'm thinking maybe I'm going to get $250,000. So the phone rings, and he goes, Bob, I got good news for you. I'm like, what is it? He goes, you got approved. I'm like, really? He goes, yeah, we approved you for $1 million. I remember where I was standing, like this flash of light. Like, what did you just say? Because yeah, we got you a credit, or $1 million line of credit. I'm like, that's amazing. I'm like, well, what's the terms? He goes, well, the terms aren't the best, but it's at least to get you started. It's 3 points and 13%. He goes, I'll tell you what, if you do a couple deals with us, then we'll lower the points, lower the interest. You pay your bills on time, you do what you say you're going to do, and we'll increase your credit line, lower the points, lower the interest. I'm like, all right, that sounds fair to me. So when I go to use the line, and I used it, I didn't even have to use it because I had enough capital raised to not use it. But I wanted to use it because I wanted to prove myself and build this credit with this company. Very interesting phenomenon happens when you get offered a $1 million line of credit from a bank. What do you think it is? Other banks. So now I got this line. Now I have phone rings. Hey, Mr. Tierney, we see that you have this line of credit. We can beat their rates. I'm like, really? I'm like, by how much? He goes, you can do way better than that. I'm like, that sounds really good to me, way better. So now, and I'm in process, and this stuff takes time, and I'm not going crazy. But the very real, here's the truth. There's trillions of dollars in the world, and the people that have it want to lend it to people that are responsible with it. Right? And you, as a business owner and an entrepreneur, have the opportunity to create yourself to be that person, right? To create yourself to be that responsible person. And when I started in the business, and I had my credit in the 400s at one point, but the 500s when I bought my training, right? I didn't know anything about this, right? And in educating myself in the world of credit and corporate credit and how all this stuff works, it's completely changed my life, right? And today, now banks out there in the world are seeking people like us. Right? Because lending money to consumers versus lending money to entrepreneurs, what is in the bank's best interest? Entrepreneurs learn how to make money. Entrepreneurs learn how to create cash flow and create income. Entrepreneurs employ other people. Entrepreneurs buy houses and fix them up and make them better. Entrepreneurs buy houses and rent them out to people. That's what we do. Right? So we become people that make banks money. So that's the fundamental message I have for you tonight. Right? Is to become someone in the world that can make other people money and make banks money. That's why you're here. That's what this business is about. Okay? I'm honored and privileged, really, to have the opportunity to be here and share my own experience with you. Because for 20 years of my own life, I wished I could figure it out, and I didn't know where to start, and I didn't know who to trust. And I've been blessed in my life, meeting people like Bruce and Terry and Brandon and all these great people that we're surrounded by. Okay? So when they did their homework and to approve me, they did their due diligence. All right, to make sure you can't skirt the system. And there's a lot of scams out there in the world, and a lot of people are going to go home tonight and type in how do I build my business credit and see if you can kind of figure it out. There's vultures out there. Right? There's people that will tell you, oh, we'll get you a shelf corporation, and we'll get you access to, $20,000 credit lines, 10 of them, All you do is pay us $10,000. I've breaks my heart, man. I've seen people taken. Now there's like one person on the planet that I've actually heard of that does this ethically and responsibly, right? Shelf corporations. I still don't like them because there's a $5,000 fee for that. Right, and a brand new real estate investor that's just getting started that doesn't know enough about this business shouldn't be given $200,000. Would you agree? Right, because is it easy to mess it up? Okay, so that's why I encourage you to start the way I train. Right, you start slow, you build your net 30 accounts, you build your trade lines, you get your Paydex score, you learn about this stuff, right, and then there's some other scores and different things that you're going to learn about. Now, I've been so impressed with Eric and his professionalism, his knowledge of credit. Eric and I said, man, wouldn't it be really cool if we could create a program or a product or some type of service that would help people walk them through step by step, right? And you want to come up, share it? Come on up, Eric. Give him a hand.
Awesome.
All right, so Eric came up with this idea for this business credit dashboard, right? We don't have it developed yet, but this is an idea that we have. And I want you to share a little bit about what its functionality is going to be.
basically the plan. I'm really big into systems. Like the only reason that I'm without a mic. Yeah, I'll use this one. Okay. Is that cool? Will I just use this mic? Awesome. I'm really big into systems, and the reason that our credit repair product creates such a high client satisfaction rate is because we stay so involved with our clients. If anybody signs up with me, you'll probably actually get a little annoyed with how often my office is calling you and how often they're emailing you, and they're really staying on you to do the steps that are required to have that profile. Enough so that occasionally the one complaint we get is like, I get it, I'll mail it. Calm down, right? I'll mail it tomorrow, I promise. But the issue is if you don't do the steps, then you'll never reach the goal. Agreed? How many people have bought something or gotten a class and all of the tools were right in front of you and you still didn't do it? Right? That's everybody. That's me. That's Bob. That's everybody. So what our idea behind this was to create this business credit dashboard that's going to go in. The day you get it, you're going to spend 2 hours. Set aside 2 hours. Give me 2 hours, right? You're going to set aside 2 hours and you're going to answer a ton of questions about you, about your business, about your models, about your goals, about your financials, things like that are going to really allow us to create, based upon those answers, a platform that is going to push you to do all of those steps. It's going to allow you to monitor your accounts, which ones are open, which ones you've applied for. It's going to allow you to monitor your limits and balances. We also have integrated directly with the #1 provider of business and personal credit merged reports. So inside of the system, you'll have access. Bob talked a lot about Dun & Bradstreet today. Dun & Bradstreet is very, very important, but there are other business credit entities. The highest one right now is Experian. Experian has taken on and built out what's called the IntelliScore. IntelliScore they're using now the IntelliScore Plus, which is kind of a merged business and personal. They look at both of them together to give a small business the best possible chances of being approved. So we've integrated directly with those providers that allow you inside of the system to see your TransUnion personal report, your Experian personal report, your Dun & Bradstreet report, your Experian business report, as well as your FICO business score, right? FICO is now issuing a business score of their own. So you've got your Paydex, you've got your IntelliScore, and now FICO's jumped in and issued out what's called the FICO Liquid Business Score. So all of those things are going to be offered and integrated directly into that system. Now, what it does, I'm not getting too technical by any means, excuse me. But what it's going to do is look at what you have and then decide your next step. It's a decision engine. So if you have no profile whatsoever, right, it's going to start you with building at Dun & Bradstreet, right? You might have a Dun & Bradstreet account that you don't even know, and when it looks at Dun & Bradstreet, it's going to look for accounts that are going to check Dun & Bradstreet, but then report to Experian, right? So it's going to tell you specifically, apply for this account. Click right here. And this is the account that I want you to apply for. You don't have to go out and search. I want you to click right here, this account. And it's just going to take you to the application where you can apply for the proper corporate credit accounts. So instead of saying, hey, you can use companies like Quill and Granger and hey, go, good luck. It's going to say, this is the account. Click right here, because this is the button that takes you to the specific application that's the right account. Because I was talking with somebody just a little bit ago. They were talking about their company credit cards that they were building corporate credit. And I respectfully said, I don't really think that's most likely not a corporate credit card. That's most likely a personal credit card, and it's got your business name on it. And because of things like that, people can get lost in, well, it said business. This was a business card. And when it's really not a corporate credit card, it's simply a personal business card. So it's going to tell you exactly what steps to follow. And then not only that, there's a forum where you guys can talk to each other. If Mark, it's my guy right there, I know Mark. If Mark finds a great account that's really doing well, occasionally companies need to hit a quota. So their credit requirements drop for a short period of time, right? Mark gets approved for a Chase account, and we know that Mark doesn't have the all-time best Experian score, and we know that Chase is looking at Experian. We kind of infer from that Chase has at least temporarily lowered their requirements. So that's when we push out to everybody that says, hey, based upon what Mark's got, you fit. Now, of course, we're not telling people what Mark has by any means, but based upon what Mark's got, you also fit this approval criteria. So we're going to let you know, based upon what you have, these are the proper accounts that you will almost certainly be approved for. And we're going to have the direct access to 4,400 different lenders that we know where they look, we know what their requirements are, we know where they report, we know what sources they check. We're going to tell you, you have to be in business 2 years to get this one. If you're a startup, don't apply because you're not going to get it. Wouldn't that be nice to just say, you'd just rather know that it's a no, right? If you're a startup, don't apply for this account. If you have been in business more than 2 years, this one fits you. So it's going to tell you exactly which accounts that you'll almost certainly be approved for. We're not the ones giving the accounts, so we can never, of course, guarantee you that you will get them. But we're going to tell you these are the ones that you fit the criteria for. And then it's all built into one little business credit dashboard. So you can log on and it's going to tell you all of your different stuff right there in one place. And that's the business credit dashboard.
Thank you.
You bet.
So, thousands of dollars put coaching and all this stuff. And that's why Eric and I got together. I'm like, we have got to build something that would make it simple for people. So I'm really excited about that. I'm excited. This is actually the first time we've ever talked about it, so you got to hear about it first. And so we're going to be getting this built. We've got some mock-ups of what it's going to look like, and this is going to be rolled out, in the next couple months. I don't have an exact time frame, but it's about 60% done. So you don't need this product to do what I'm teaching you tonight. Everybody here has the capacity to do this. You don't need to hire us or pay us anything. But I will tell you, from my own experience, I get these ideas about what I want to do, and then I get stuck or stop somewhere, and then I give up or I quit because I don't have a coach or a mentor helping me. I don't have somebody pushing me. I don't have somebody to call and ask questions to, right? That's the gift that this group is getting with your Tuesday night study groups, right? And that's the reason that we are doing that on a consistent basis.